Hey, thank you guys so much for sitting down with me today. You guys are about to go on tour with Imminence. Can you talk about what it's been like to prepare for that tour?
It's been exciting. It's their first time in the States, their first time going to Canada, and our first time in Canada. So I think that we all have a lot to look forward to, and that's kind of one of those bands that I feel like leading up to when we found out we'd be going on the road with them, everybody was like, "You guys should tour with Imminence. You guys should go on the road with Imminence." Like people are like, "That's another like cool underrated band. Tour together," and now we're doing it. So it's sweet.
How do you think it'll be different from like other tours you've done in the past?
I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of it is they're more up like our alley and genre wise. Obviously, we hit the road with Crown the Empire and Drugs. They're up our alley as well. Then we did a tour with Attila. Going back to like the metalcore roots, I think it'll be really fun and the crowds will really pop off for us.
Yeah, I got something, but what do you think, August?
I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be fantastic. Honestly, it's because it's our first time out of the country. I guess you can consider Canada out of the country. But yeah, it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So prepping for it has been interesting, and people will find out why soon. But yeah.
And also the fact that it's 8 days straight, no days off. That's
Yeah.
new. I like that because when you don't play shows, you don't make money. So I don't like off days really. And 8 days straight is going to be cool. It's going to be a nice test and a challenge for all of us to, not get burnt out, the vocalists to not get burnt out, and that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And I've also read that you guys were a part of a bunch of different projects before joining together for Until I Wake. What is the difference between like Until I Wake and your other projects that you've been a part of?
So much more professional.
Yeah, the other things are too is like this project would be something that like the foundation was like friendship. We were all friends previously to creating this band. We were in like projects at different points with each other. So it's like finally everybody was able to get together for this one project and we're like, all right, this is the time to do it. That became Until I Wake because all of our favorite musicians that we had worked with were all available. Nobody was really like the one that spoiled a past project. Each other were just like the driving forces between past projects and the main people that were involved in those, really.
And we have the mentality now of not just playing as many local shows as we possibly can. We want to either make it a career or, it's like a make or break band this time. It's not just do it for fun and hopefully we get paid someday. It's like definitely a more serious, I guess, operation, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely make or break. It's kind of no effing around, it's if you can't hang, then there's the door, sleep in the siren lyrics. But yes. But yeah, I guess that's the biggest difference for me.
Yeah, we took like the business route of everything where we're like, all right, we already played all the shows. We did like small tours and shows out of town together. And at this point, it was just kind of like, at this point, we were like, let's build the catalog of music. Let's make everything look awesome for like online, social media, all that stuff. Present it to the public. And then like, we'll see what happens from there. And then right away, it was just like, you guys are going on tour. And then we're like, all right, sick, let's go. That's what we want to do. So like, we didn't really play like local shows or any shows like one-offs or anything until we were on our first tour together. And I feel like that was kind of fun too, because it was like back in the day, it's like go sell these tickets and you make $1 or $2 like per ticket that you sell. And then like, if you sell the most tickets in the local scene, then you get the show with the big band that comes through. It's like, oh yeah, I got to get on that show with that big band that comes through next month. So I'm gonna go sell all the tickets, and then you grind, and then you're on that. You're like, oh, someone's gonna find us. Somebody's gonna see us from this show, and no one sees you. So like,
Yeah.
Beep. Screw that.
Don't do that.
So now we just we just hit it right with touring.
Yeah. Is there like a big local scene in Buffalo?
It used to be.
Kind of died out.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but we're actually putting a show November 29th, and we're bringing local bands out to try and give spotlight to our scene, maybe reignite a spark a little bit in a sense. But yeah, I would say from a few years past, it's pretty dead for sure.
Yeah, I think that it'll be cool. I think like there's like a new wave of bands in Buffalo that are trying to like help build it back up, and they're doing a really good job. There's
Yeah.
like, from my perspective, I know like a lot of the people that run shows around here, and it seems like a lot of the bands get along a lot more than they used to back when we started out in the scene. Back in the day, it was like you either got to be like in this scene, like this, playing this kind of music, or like they didn't like you and your music stunk, rather than like nowadays there's so much genre blending going on where it's like you can play pop rock music and play with a metalcore band, or you can play deathcore music and play with a rock band or something. No one really cares because they're there for the love of music. So back in the day in Buffalo, was a lot of that, like a little bit of tenseness to the scene. And nowadays it's like everybody just supports each other a lot more than they did back in the day, which is cool. And I hope it continues to be that way. I feel like in general, people don't go out as much. So like the shows are like, there's a lot of shows, but there's not a lot of people in attendance at the shows like locally. So hopefully that changes, and hopefully we can help kind of build up what we want to do essentially with this end of the year show that Alex was talking about, is kind of create it into like an annual festival thing. Like Every Time I Die had theirs, August Burns Red as their Christmas show. So like we want to do an annual show, like Until I Wake playing and putting all these bands in the spotlight, hyping them up and building them up together, and like doing something cool in Buffalo because we love it here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What was it like picking bands for that?
Picking bands?
Yeah, to like join you guys for that show.
Basically it was pretty easy and simple because we're like, all right, who's good vibes? Like we've caught some of these bands out. Like we'll go out and check out some of these bands when they're playing locally and all that, because just to support the scene and everything. So we'll catch these people out and about. We'll see like they're cool individuals. So we're like, all right, this guy's cool. The band is sweet. They deserve to like be part of this fun festival with us. So like, yeah, let's bring them on. And so basically it was just kind of like avoiding anything that had drama in the scene, and that might potentially have some drama, because like no one wants to be a part of that. I don't personally know many bands that do have drama, but it's like if
At
I
least
know
anymore.
somebody, right? It's like if I know somebody that seems like a genuine good person and their music is cool and their whole band is nice, I'm like, all right, if they feel a certain way about a certain band, I'm like, I'm gonna avoid that one. I'm not gonna let that create my whole opinion on that band. Maybe I'll do something with them in the future and feel them out for myself, or like we'll feel them out. But for now, it's like we just want to have a good end of the world party, December 29th. So that's kind of how we built it. Good bands with good vibes.
Shifting gears a little bit, I've read that you guys made the decision to kind of wait to put out your debut album for a little bit. How do you think that impacted you guys, like, as a band versus like getting out music as quick as possible?
I don't remember.
I don't know. I know like when we were first starting out, we were definitely like trying to release music as quickly as possible. I think every 3 months or so like that. But when you're on a label, obviously there's more scheduling that's involved. So it's kind of a lot more dependent on that, making sure that everything is perfect the way we want it to be before we release it has a lot to do with it too. So yeah.
I think the single game makes things fun, and I know like when you release an album, you actually have like a limit of how many singles you can release off of that work. So like I think it's like 5 songs. You can only release 5 singles. But
no more than half the album, I know it is.
Honestly, I don't really know what could have put a little bit of a delay on that. Maybe it was like getting things handled, like as far as music videos for some of the singles, like Octane and Inside My Head and stuff, getting all that ready for that album. And then yeah, and then I think just kind of like wrapping it up, we had to go in for a couple edits a few months
Yeah.
later after we thought we were done with it, because we're like, oh wait, we want to tighten this up or that up. And I think that stuff's important. And if it puts off the release of an album a little bit, it's probably worth
Definitely worth
to
it.
make sure that everything is 100%.
And you guys recently put out the deluxe version too. How did you guys choose what songs you wanted on, like, I guess the regular version versus the deluxe?
So the deluxe, originally what we wanted to do is we wanted to have two like more radio friendly bangers on that, and then we knew we wanted to do acoustic songs, and then it was kind of easy to figure out what songs to do acoustic versions of, primarily doing an acoustic version of Self Medicated, because that's like essentially like our most streamed song that we've ever released. So we're like, all right, we could do an acoustic version of that, and then the other one was just between, I think, Inside My Head or Octane or another one of those rockier jams. And then we were supposed to have a fifth track on the deluxe, which was going to be a metalcore song to bring us back to like our roots and reel back in those fans that were part of the metalcore, stuff that we released early on as a band, which was like, I feel like lately we've teetered like too far away from it, maybe. So maybe that's what's going to follow the release of the deluxe, is maybe a metalcore bridge track to what we do next. But we ran out of time. Everything was getting really tight when it came to being on the road, so we had to scratch the idea of working on a metalcore track. So we'll see what comes next.
And what was it like having such a positive response to your first album as a band?
Oh man,
It's amazing.
yeah,
You put
Yeah.
something out and everyone hates it, and you're like, should we do this still?
no, we've heard
Yes.
some awesome news from various sources, just about how our album was doing and streaming and all that, and we were actually really pleasantly surprised, because on our end, I mean, we see it, like the numbers and things like that and people's reactions, but we never really get to sit back and take it in. So when other people put it in perspective for you, it's really cool. And I think we did it with the first album.
Also, like right before we released that first album, we were going through hell as a band, and no one knew. We don't talk about it. You shouldn't talk about it. So like a lot of the things that were going on behind the scenes with like what was our team that was supposed to be us, it all kind of disbanded. So it was just like us and then the label. And it was like a kind of a scary, nerve-wracking time, because we ended up not having any like support tour for the album. Which was a little bit nerve-wracking. So we relied heavily on social media and putting out content that we would create ourselves to push the album more. So like, yeah, it was super, super nerve-wracking, kind of like on all fronts. It was great to get all the music that we worked hard on out there, and to put like this new piece of material into the world where we're like, this is us, this is cool. It's our first real album that we put out through a record label, and all that was like, a storybook. But at the same time, the end that nobody really seen was not fun at all, and sad and depressing. And that was all like kind of what carried on for probably about half of a year following around the release of the album.
Yeah, it was very, very hard. Not, just releasing our debut album, and not being on the road to support it, not being on the, touring plans at all, actually, when we released that. So that was kind of frustrating. It was scary, but we made it work.
Is there anything you could tell me about the album that people wouldn't know just by listening to it?
That people wouldn't know?
That people wouldn't know.
Well, there's a song, Legacy, that I think we wrote in like 2 days, and it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. That song's pretty cool and definitely underrated.
Yeah,
definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, the intro to the album is basically Cody killing me. That's the intro to the album. I don't think anyone really knows that much, but it was like a goofy little, it was, at first we didn't even know that we were going to keep it on the album, because like it's super like cinematic sounding. And basically the way we compare it to is like, I don't know if you know the game Diablo, but it kind of like reminds us of like reminded me and Cody of like dialogue from Diablo. And then I get killed. I get my neck cut, and it's awesome. So
My neck.
definitely an interesting intro.
Shifting gears just a little bit. You were also recently featured in a song with Alesti, I think is how you pronounce that. What was that experience like?
Um,
That we had nothing to do with that. That was just a Cody thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
I,
No,
I
no, you're
remember
good.
I remember being at the studio when he was working on it though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
A lot of vocals for that and kept hearing the chorus over and over and over in my ears. And at this point, I'm like, ugh. But it's an awesome song. It's great.
it actually came into my dreams, dude. I was sleeping
Did
on the
it really?
futon and like I was sleeping and the lyrics were in my dreams and I'm sitting there, I'm like, whoa, dude, this is crazy. And like the lyrics were like, fill me up with what I'm craving. So I'm sitting there dreaming and I'm thinking these lyrics. I'm like, whoa, what's going on with me? So like those are the literal lyrics. Super weird. And
Yeah.
I mean, the song sounds fantastic, but like when you're dreaming and you're hearing this in your head, I'm like, that's weird. I wake up and then I'm like, I see them tracking it. I'm like, oh, thank God. So,
Funny.
yeah. But also that kid seems like a little prodigy, that Alesti kid.
Yeah.
He's got tons of awesome songs out there. And that one is actually like we can check on how they're performing in Spotify for artists. And it's like actually gets a lot of streams like every day.
Do you have any artists that you like as a band want to work with in the future?
Bands or like have bands that have vocalists that we want to feature.
Either one.
Definitely Andy Leo from Crown the Empire.
Yeah, that guy's the best.
There's so many. That's tough. Alex, you go ahead.
Vocal wise, yeah, him. I think Devin from Icy Stars would be cool. Like
That
I
would
would
be-
rip. I think my favorite ever would probably be Jeremy McKinnon from A Day to Remember, just because they were my favorite band growing up when I first got into it. So I think that'd be like my top tier. Working with and having a vocal feature, probably both would be that band for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know I'd like to have like Aaron from Under Oath for sure. That would be really cool. He's a great singer.
As far as band stuff, tours, hitting the road, dude, I want to tour like more than I want to breathe. I want to tour with like Bad Omens or Bring Me the Horizon. Like I want to do that and then I'll worry about breathing. But like primarily I want to tour with Bring Me the Horizon or Bad Omens.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be really cool. We need a Bring Me the Horizon, Bad Omens, Until I Wake tour. Grandfather, the father, and the son.
Oh,
Said that at
that
some
sounds familiar.
who it
Sounds like
was.
something,
That was commented on Sinking Under, the first song that we ever put out, I'm pretty sure.
Right, that's what
Yeah.
it was.
Somebody commented that on YouTube and it's like it popped off and I was like, good. Should pop off. It's a great idea.
Speaking of Sinking Under, you guys had a remix done of that. Are you guys considering doing stuff like that again, or was that just kind of a one-off?
I think it was kind of like a one-off. I mean, I'd be down to dabble with stuff like that again, but I think like I think I'd like to go experiment in other areas. Like I think I would rather have like a full acoustic song versus having like a remix song. I would definitely rather not have another Christmas song. Anything would be better than putting out another Christmas song.
Even
Which
though
that
ours
one,
is-
all I want for Christmas is fun, but please no. I mean, I think this time around, I think like the remix, if we did a remix of any songs, like it needs to be like something you definitely hear at one of those EDM festivals or something. Like all I want to hear is like the bass and just the same like like that's what I want to hear. Instead, like the Konar remix was done by John Eberhard, which is also a dude that like co-wrote the album. And so the remix was kind of like it had some of that, but I think that we did it like I feel like he did it kind of quick and on a whim. And I think that if we ever did another one in the future, it's gotta go bonkers. It's gotta be nuts. And I think he could do it, but we'll see.
Shifting gears back towards playing live, is there a song that you're really looking forward to playing on this upcoming tour?
Legacy. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. Definitely looking
Probably
forward to playing that
Legacy.
song.
Legacy, yeah.
We've
I'm
never played
looking
it
forward
live
to playing
yet.
every single one for a specific reason.
Yeah. We've never played Legacy before, so it'll be honestly a breath of fresh air because that song, I feel like it was never given the chance to see, any kind of real attention. So that'll be really cool. Aside from that, all of them are just so much fun to play. And like Ryan said, yeah. Very excited for all of them this time. So
Do you think you guys have changed like live versus when you guys first started playing as a band to now?
I feel like we're so much more now. Like, I don't know. I remember our first tour. It was so scary because, well, I know I had no idea what I was doing. As far as I'm more of the gear guy in the band, so we had to have our gear built, basically our live equipment built by our producers. I was off having a child, and I couldn't be there, and so we went on tour with this equipment that I had no idea how it worked. So yeah, that was really scary, and we had a lot of malfunctions, but we got through it. But for me, I know that was the scariest part. I don't know about the guys. What about you guys?
Yeah, I was not
Very.
super comfortable. It was my first tour ever. And then, yeah, looking back, you can just see how much more comfortable, like August said, we are. And just have more fun, a little looser on the stage, play the songs a bit better because you're not so nervous, so you're choking up and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like getting used to being on stage with each other, building like a even better chemistry, and like kind of having an idea of like what each other's gonna do. And it's almost like where somebody's gonna be at what time, what they're gonna be like for example, I'll go to Alex at certain parts of the songs and I'll flip him off and just for fun. And then like I'll go to August and I'll like smack his butt or something like that when he's like on a riser just to like, hey, here I am, I'm behind you. And then like he'll either laugh and stand there and jam with me or go to the other side of the stage or something like that. And like it's all just kind of the things that make it more fun, is becoming like more and more used to each other, uh building like the natural chemistry, knowing like when each other's gonna do what. Just because I mean, like when you have practices, when you're in like a local band, or when you think you need to like rehearse stage presence and stuff so much, then things become like robotic looking. And then when you're on stage and you're doing it for like 30 days in a row, and then you're just like, all right, like we don't need to worry about like all the roboticness of like the performance and all that. Just like go up there, you have the chemistry already, you know where each other's gonna be, you know what each other's gonna be doing, you know how to line up headbanging, line up jumping, line up whatever crab core and anything like that. So it just kind of becomes like more natural and is basically like second nature at that point. And I think that that's kind of like between when we first started to where we are now, like that's a big difference, I think.
What are you guys looking forward to most about like next year?
Going to Europe.
yeah, for sure. Going to Europe, and then we have a big change coming up that people will find out soon. It's exciting, scary, but which will also accelerate next year for us. So there's that. And then, yeah, Europe for sure.
I'm assuming this change is something you're not allowed to talk about yet.
No, not at all. Not yet.
And do you have anything else that you guys wanted to talk about that I haven't given you guys a chance to bring up?
The Bills.
No, football.
I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk
Bills
about
are
the
terrible.
Bills. Yeah, we won't talk about it. I don't know. Let's see. Is there anything else? I guess I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Thank you so much